welcome to another episode of Jason's Game Room, the only podcast on YouTube that talks about everything gaming, from board games to video games to dice games to CCGs. If it has anything in the world to do with gaming, it is on the show and I will talk about it, so you better stay tuned to see what's new. Now, on today's show, I want to discuss Super Mario Brothers, the video game series, also known as that little Italian bastard that steals my mushrooms and grows to twice his normal height. Now, when Super Mario Brothers first came out in the mid-80s with the original Nintendo Entertainment System, unfortunately, I did not own said system. I come from a lower middle class family. We didn't have a lot of money. I did have some cool toys that I'd get for Christmas, but we could never afford a video game system. So I first played Super Mario Brothers, the original, at my best friend's at the time, at his house. And it kind of blew my mind because the only contact I'd had with video games up until that point was my Commodore VIC-20, which was pretty cool. There are some days where I would give anything to play Garden Wars again, but Nintendo was kind of one of the defining things of the 80s. If you didn't have one, you knew someone that did have one, and there was someone that had one, hands down. And my friend at the time got one. I think it was Christmas or his birthday. I can't remember which. It's a long time ago. And I remember playing a few of the original Nintendo games at the time, but Super Mario Brothers has always been one of my favorites through the years. And it's because it has something for everyone. Like, you're jumping around, you're squashing enemies, you're looking for mushrooms and power flowers and invincible stars, and it's just a whole lot of good, clean fun. You don't have to worry about anything with playing Super Mario Brothers. You can put your kids in front of it, you can play it. It's great. And I remember playing the original and thinking, wow, this is like the best thing ever at the time, and it was for a while. And after playing it here and there when I could, again, because I didn't own the system. I didn't have a video game system for quite some time of that caliber. And I remember playing Super Mario Bros. 2 on his system when that came out. I didn't play 3 right away. It wasn't until years and years later I played 3. I watched it being played, but I never actually played it myself. The first Super Mario Brothers type game in the series that I actually owned and played was the original Super Mario Land for Game Boy. I was gifted a Game Boy, I think, when I was 12, somewhere in that time period. And I had Super Mario Land, which was one of my favorites. It was so much fun. The only pet peeve of the early games being you couldn't save them. So if you turned it off, you'd have to start all the way back at the beginning and go through all the worlds over and over again, which is normally not a big deal, but especially if you're in a session where you're close to being near the end of the game and you have to start over, it's a bit of a pain in the ass. Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins, was awesome as well. I had that. And I remember hearing about it when it first came out. And I didn't get it brand new. I got it secondhand from a video game store at the time. And if you've listened to my previous shows, you've heard me talk about microplay. Or I used to get a lot of trade-in video games. And that's where I got it. And Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins was like a whole new adventure based on the original Super Mario Land, but more fun than the original, which no one ever thought would happen, but it did. But the graphics were improved, as were the levels and the content in the game, and it was a lot of fun playing that. The third Super Mario Land that came out, which was Wario Land, that's probably the only game of the series I never really enjoyed as thoroughly. I didn't like the story, and I thought Wario was just a goof. And I thought the premise was shit. And I played it and I'm like, it's not as fun as the previous two. I never understood why they had to just come up with this character of Wario and go in that direction. Now, I know a lot of people liked it and Wario became popular, especially when you get into Smash Brothers and Mario Kart and all that. But I was never a big fan of Wario and or Wario Land. I didn't like it. Didn't own it for very long. Traded it very quickly. Wasn't happy with it at all. A while after that, when I was several systems in my journey through the land of video games, when I had Super Nintendo, one of the games that I really enjoyed picking up was Super Mario All-Stars. Now, you should all be familiar with that, but if you're not, it would take all of your 8-bit favorites and put it into 16-bit. So Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, 3, and what else was on there? There was something else. I can't remember if Super Mario World was in there, but Dr. Mario and there was another game. It was just a great collection, Super Mario All-Stars, and it was so much fun playing the original Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3 again, but on the Super Nintendo with the enhanced graphics. And while I was playing that, I also had for Super Nintendo Super Mario World, which introduced Yoshi. And for me, after having that disappointing feeling of Wario Land for Game Boy, which was Super Mario Land 3, Super Mario World was awesome. I mean, it took Super Mario to a different level. Not only could you do different things, and you had a couple extra powers that you could use in the game, but you had Yoshi, the cute little dinosaur guy with the big tongue that would eat stuff and spit it back out and help you. I always thought Yoshi was cool. And I remember at one point, I think it was before I got Game Boy, or around the time I got Game Boy, that I had a little Mario action figure and a Yoshi. And I thought they were the coolest things ever. I don't remember what happened to those, because I always said I was going to keep my Super Mario action figure and my Yoshi, and somewhere from the time of the mid-90s to near the end of the 90s, when I left my teenage years and into my 20s and ended up moving, they got lost. And that's a shame, because I was never someone that would collect video game trinkets to go with the games, but I would have kept those two to this day and maybe put them in my cabinet with my Transformers. Then again, maybe not, but I would have kept them either way. They were cool. Going back to what I was saying about Super Mario World, it was a great game. And playing that and Super Mario All-Stars around the same time, because in the event that I didn't want to play Super Mario World, which was rare because I always liked playing that game, I would pop in the Super Mario All-Stars cartridge and go back to playing the original. Because why not? If you've got both of them at hand. Aside from that, that was the end of Mario for me on Super Nintendo. I had switched systems again. I got rid of my Super Nintendo. I didn't have a system for a little while. And then when I finally got back into something Nintendo related, in my college years, I bought a Nintendo 64 off a classmate of mine for cheap. And I played Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo and on the N64. It was great. That was another game that was a lot of fun. But my biggest regret with the Nintendo 64 was never playing Super Mario RPG. I watched it. I might have played the demo in a video game store. I might not. I can't remember. But it was one of those games where I always think about it in past tense going, why did I never buy that game? Like, when you think Nintendo 64, you think GoldenEye and Star Wars Rogue Squadron and games like that. Even though Super Mario RPG was huge and it was a hell of a good game, but I never owned it. I'm pretty sure a friend of mine might have had it and I might have watched him play it, but I never owned it, and I don't know why to this day why I never bothered owning it. It is a very small regret, but it's a regret nonetheless, because there was so much in that game to explore and do, and I just never got into it. And N64 was the last time that I would really go into Super Mario Brothers. I did have an original Nintendo after that I picked up somewhere. I only had it for half a year. I don't remember what happened to that either. I think my parents might have just gotten rid of it for me because they thought I was getting too old to be playing with video games. But I had an original Nintendo for a short period of time, the original NES, and I had the original Super Mario Brothers, and I went back and played that a bit just because I wanted to own my own. And yeah, it was, 1999 I had it, so talk about 13 years after the original came out, or more, probably 15 years. But I played it. It was great. And I moved into the realm of Sony and PlayStations from there. But my fondest memories of video gaming are always from Super Mario. Mainly because I started out with my own Super Mario adventure with Game Boy playing Super Mario Land and Super Mario Land 2 because I owned them and they were mine and they were fun and I would take it everywhere with me. But I still wish I could play Super Mario RPG or even go back in time and have that old Nintendo or Super Nintendo and play it all again just for shits and giggles. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. As far as the highs, the lows, and the downright dirty go, I don't really have much of a segment for that. The highs are self-explanatory. Again, Super Mario Brothers in any form is great fun. The lows, I would have to say, was Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3. I still don't like it to this day. And there is no downright dirty because Super Mario is awesome, plain and simple. And that's all I have to say about that. Thank you for tuning in to the show today and hearing me talk about Super Mario Brothers. I hope that anyone that listened to this podcast also has fond memories of Super Mario Brothers throughout the years, and I'd like to hear about it. So please add some comments below and let me know what your memory of Super Mario Brothers was. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, game on!